First of all, God doesn't owe me anything, doesn't owe me an explanation. Secondly, insofar as there is a possibility of deriving good from evil, which we know there is, and what that means is that if a child is in the hospital getting an injection, they scream, they cry in pain, but the parent still holds them down for them to get that injection, that act is not an evil act. Even if that child might interpret it as evil when they are young, but when they come into the knowledge of what is happening, they will see that there is a greater good being derived from that suffering. And then they will know that if the parent were to keep them from getting that injection, getting the treatment that they need, even when it is painful, then that parent will be doing something evil. Because they are choosing a lesser good over a higher one. The higher good would be the health of the child. The lesser good would be their bodily comfort, their steady bodily comfort. So when somebody comes and asks all those questions, I check their assumptions to know if what they are calling evil is actually evil, or they are calling that evil because they are like a child who hasn't grown into or who hasn't been able to see whether there is any good being derived from that evil. Because the fact that we are unable to see doesn't mean there is none. And before we can call something meaningless, we would have looked for meaning and would have seen the meaning, and we have found that that meaning does not justify the pain. But if we have not seen that meaning, why are we concluding that that thing is evil, metaphysically speaking? What we can say is that this person has caused another person evil, not that God is permitting evil, which he does, but he's permitting evil for no reason, which means he's evil. Because that is where the argument goes. Because if God is permitting evil for no reason and he has no plan of punishing those who have done evil and rewarding those who have resisted evil and all of those things, and settling all of the injustices of the world, then somebody can come and say that this God is not as good as we paint him, and that will be a fair critique. But just because we don't know what is in the mind of God at all times doesn't mean he's evil. It just means we don't know. Right? So I try to make some of those things clear so that we are not overstepping we are not concluding on things we have not properly investigated, and we are not drawing conclusions too when we do not have the materials, the information necessary to investigate and to draw any conclusion.